Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javanokelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode of the African Father in America podcast. I am here with Aisha Jallo, who is the CEO of Aisha Jallo Consulting and coaching and consulting. And, I am also, currently live on YouTube and also live on Clubhouse. I just thank you all who have joined us for today's, recording of the Daily African Proverbs. And also this is being recorded for the African Father in America podcast. It's early morning. It's exactly 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we are here as usual to discuss an African proverb, but also to learn a little bit about an African leader who is doing amazing work in the world. So if you're on Clubhouse joining us over there, thank you so much. I see Brother Earth has already joined us, but also for those who are joining us on YouTube, I just thank you so much, for taking your time to join us for today's session. Our session today is going to have the following structure. Number one, we are going to, first of all, dive deep into this proverb and learn what this proverb means, and then number two, we are going to learn what this proverb means to Aisha. And then number three, we are going to learn a little bit about, the story of Aisha, especially a childhood story that inspires her as a leader today, especially here in the African diaspora. And then after that, we are going to go into the work that Aisha is doing, with her organization. She has an organization that she co-founded. We are going to learn about it. And we're also going to learn about, what are some of her biggest accomplishments with her coaching and consulting company. So Aisha, how are you doing this morning?
I am doing great, Simon. Thank you so much for inviting me to this amazing platform. Really bringing the work you do is so essential, bringing Africans all over the globe to discuss their heritage, but also educate people who have a misconception about Africa. So I am honored and grateful to be here. And it's so exciting.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I just love what you do as well. And it's really an honor. And I know it's really early in the morning. I do this show. I do this show early in the morning, and it's always, really a privilege because not many people want to wake up this early. But I know that serious leaders, serious entrepreneurs always wake up early, and one of the stories I'm going to share with you later on is how I started waking up early and why I wake up early so consistently. But really, before we start, I want to welcome everyone who is joining us on Clubhouse, and I want to ask you to make sure you share the link to this room and also leave your comment with where you are joining us from. And also, if you are on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel and also share with us in the comments where in the world you are joining us from. Today's proverb is from Comoros. I don't think we've ever shared a proverb from Comoros in a long time, actually. And I love this show, the Daily African Proverbs, because we literally take a virtual journey across the motherland. And, yesterday we were discussing a proverb from Sudan, and I think the day before that we were discussing a proverb from Ethiopia. And before that, we were discussing a proverb from Gambia, So it's always beautiful to just take these virtual journeys and really, learn and also apply what we learn here in our own lives. Because as entrepreneurs, as parents, we always need a little wisdom in order for us to make better decisions. And also these proverbs and this platform is a way for us to really uplift our ancestors, our mothers and
Yes.
our fathers and our grandfathers, they used to discuss these proverbs, why can't we do the same, So that's part of the motivation for doing this work. The proverb for today says that a whistle will not call back a dog that has escaped from the leash. A whistle will not call back a dog that has escaped from a leash, And when you think about this, for me, living here in the diaspora, I literally think about my dogs that are barking upstairs from where I'm recording. I have a puppy that is like 14 weeks now, and sometime when you get this puppy off the leash, it just runs away. It doesn't know where it's going. But if you literally whistle, which I love to do, it will not come back. You will have to run and literally get the dog. You physically have to grab the dog and bring it back home. So this proverb, in a literal sense, is true, that if you have an opportunity that you are holding close to you and you let it go, no matter what you say about it, it might never come. But if you do something about it, you might be able to secure it again, So this proverb, just from listening to it and seeing it from the surface, it seems like it's a warning. It's a warning about recovering after you lose something, I played soccer, and in soccer, once you lose the ball to the opponent, you have to run until you recover the ball. But my team and I prepared 3 nuggets of wisdom for you today that I want to share quickly before we listen to Aisha Jallo's interpretation of this proverb. So number one, we have here, number one nugget of wisdom from this proverb says that be mindful of what you say. It may have unintended consequences. Sometimes it's best for you to hold your tongue. Number 2, you can't always control what happens, but you can control how you react. Choose wisely and learn to let go. And then number 3, don't get too comfortable. Things can always change. Be prepared for the unexpected. So those are our 3 nuggets of wisdom today. I want to welcome Faline and Ned, and of course my brother Rushi have also joined us here. And I see that Duna has also joined us here. I thank you so much for taking your time to join us for today's incredible episode. This is episode 273
Wow.
of the African Father in America podcast. So I just thank you all so much. Now, remember, we have a special guest today. So if you're on YouTube, you're probably seeing the beautiful Aisha Jallo, who is our guest today. Aisha, when you heard this proverb, a whistle will not call back a dog that has escaped from the leash, what is it that comes to your mind?
Thank you so much, Simon. What a beautiful presentation. Our ancestors were so intelligent because they will say words where there are nuggets and nuggets of wisdom in it, right? As a kid, you don't really think about those things, but there are always lessons in our interactions between our ancestors, our elders, and the children of Africa. And this is everywhere in Africa. So it's such a beautiful proverb and very difficult to decipher, I think. But what I think about the proverb is the lessons are value what you have, respect people around you, which goes back to holding your tongue, what you mentioned, right? Respect what you have, take care of what you have, because once you let it go, you might not get it back. But what you do to get it back is a lesson in itself. It's a journey because you've lost something. So you get on this journey to really get it back. What happens? You encounter challenges. What do you do during those challenges? What lessons do you learn? So it is a holistic view on living life, right? What do you do when you have a challenge? how do you learn from your experiences and how to react, not necessarily react, but how do you handle loss and loss of loved one, property, emotions? How do you handle all of that? So it's such a beautiful proverb. And for me, um, it's something that we should all discuss with our family and friends, but especially kids, those of us who are living in the diaspora where we don't have the beauty and the privilege of interacting with our extended family and ancestors every day to get this oral education that we get every day on the streets, in the, when we're having dinner, when we're just around, a small fire burning fresh corn. So it's a beautiful proverb. So thank you so much for picking this one. Tough one, but beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. It's a new proverb to me, and when I saw your response to it, in the emails as we were preparing for today's show, I knew that it's newer, not only to you but to me as well, and I love your response to it. Every proverb has a double meaning, and I know that we are going to hear in a moment. We are going to hear a few voices after we go through our interview questions. We are going to allow a few of our guests to also make a few comments. So, in maybe 15 minutes, we are going to hear a few voices. Also, they will share their own interpretation of this proverb. But for those who are just joining us, my name is Simon Okello. I am in Seattle, Washington, and I am the host of the African Father in America podcast. And I have a really special guest, Aisha Jallo, who is the CEO of Aisha Jallo Coaching and Consulting, and also the co-founder of an amazing non-profit organization that serves, the African community here in the diaspora and back home. Aisha, one of the things I love sharing with, my audience members and the many guests that I host here is a story of how I began doing the work I do, what drives me. And I love asking my guests this same question. So think about a story from when you are maybe 8 to 12, about something that happened that keeps you driven until today. For me, when I was 8, my mother gave me a bicycle, and she gave me also an area in our neighborhood where I would take bread and milk to shopkeepers. My mother was a distributor of milk and bread in our neighborhood. And so I became one of her suppliers, where every day I had several crates of bread and several crates of milk. And I also had about 15 to 20 shops that every morning they didn't have to go looking for bread and milk. They knew that Simon will be dropping my bread and milk, In fact, before these delivery services started, we were already doing delivery services in the slums, in the ghettos, in Africa, in Kenya particularly. So, just the rigor of waking up every day at around 2 a.m. in the morning, helping my mom, and being a part of the business she was doing is how I gained the discipline to do the work that I do today, whether it's producing Madaraka Festival, whether it's running One Vibe Africa, my non-profit organization, or One Vibe Media that produces this podcast. The discipline to be resilient and to be focused came from this time that I was working with my mother. And I want you to share a similar story of what is it that drives you as a CEO and a founder, Aisha.
Thank you so much, Simon. What an amazing experience to have that opportunity to learn business, commitment, and service from your first teacher, who is your mother, because mothers, we are the first teachers. So it's so important, our relationships with children and our children. For me, it's a little bit different. I come from a family where my mother was always a businesswoman. and she was a woman. She didn't need to work. We were very lucky, blessed. So she didn't have to work, but she always worked. But the thing that inspired me to do what I do today, what drives me, makes me get excited about waking up every morning, is the fact that she was always in service to others. What do I mean by that? We we are four girls, but my mother had about five other children living in our house that we were not related to. Yeah. Um, and then we had kids in Africa. There are kids that are called Almudus in Gambia and Senegal who are out begging. She also used to feed 20 of those kids every day, breakfast and lunch. That is what drives me. Service. That is what has inspired me this whole time. So it's not a one story, it's always seeing my mother doing something for other people that she has no expectation of getting anything back, but she was doing it for service. She was doing it because, as an individual, you have to do something to contribute to the world, to your community. You have to do something because just coming and taking is not why we're here. That's not why humanity is here. We're supposed to make this environment a little bit better than we found it. Growing up, I didn't quite get that. But as an adult, I saw the whole picture and it made so much sense to me. So that is what drives me. My mother's inspiration, but service and love and wanting to contribute to one's community.
I love that. I love that so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
So it seems like you have roots in Senegal and also Gambia. Is that right?
So Gambia and Senegal used to be one country, right? So we used to be one country, and we have cousins and, relatives. We speak the same language, we eat the same food. The only difference is Senegal was colonized by the French and Gambia was colonized by the British. So they separated us that way. But we used to be one country. And if you see us on the map, we're right in the middle of Senegal.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, it's because of that, right? So yes, I do have roots in Senegal. I love Senegal. I spent some Easter holidays growing up there, and I do business in Senegal. So Senegal and Gambia are intertwined. So the roots there, it's my second home, more or less. It's my second home, and the amazing work um, Puff does there is just fantastic. So yeah, definitely. But I am Gambian, right? And yeah, I am Gambian. Yeah.
Man, when you think about African countries and their stories, and their stories before colonization, during colonization, and after colonization, you just see how unbelievable the colonizers were, but also you see how beautiful African people are, because we never let go of our roots. We still continue on with what we have. And I also, just speaking of that, I just applaud our brothers and sisters, the African American community, how they always seek their roots. And a
Yeah.
lot of African Americans are actually moving back to Africa. I see a lot of videos on
Yeah.
YouTube of, people have moved back to Tanzania, Kenya, Gambia, Ghana,
Yeah.
so I'm just proud to be African.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
such absolutely. It's so great that you said that, because it is it's tough going back to a place that you really have never been to. But what I love about our African American brothers and sisters like you, is they are embracing Africa. They are seeing Africa as their own because Africa is theirs, right? So you cannot get away from your ancestors. I mean, we are always black wherever we go. I mean, no matter how much money we have, and being black, descendants from Africa. So I love that They're coming in Gambia. There's a small community. They're building businesses. They really are becoming part of the economy. But most importantly, just being home and feeling home. And Africans, we welcome everybody, but especially our brothers and sisters. We love our African American brothers, all Africans from the diaspora. So it's a beautiful thing that you're sharing that. And I love it. I get so excited when I see them in Gambia.
Yeah, it's important. It's important. One thing that is funny is I went to Kenya with a Senegalese rapper who is based in Kenya, who is based in Seattle, where we are. And everybody thought he was Kenyan until he opened his mouth,
Yes,
because
yes.
he looks Kenyan, and when the
Yeah.
moment he opens his mouth, he was telling me this recently when we visited, the prices go up, The moment
Yes.
the moment he opens his mouth, the prices of the taxi goes up, the restaurant goes up, because then people know that, oh, you don't speak the local language, you must be a foreigner, So
Yeah.
I think one thing I would encourage, if any African American brother or sister is watching, learn a little Kiswahili or Wolof or a little language
Yes.
that you can use locally wherever you go for transactional purposes, because it's true. Even though we love each other so much, people take advantage of each other. We have the prices for commodities that are only given to foreigners, and you can easily be a victim. But really, coming back to our conversation, Aisha, we met through the African Chamber of Commerce of the Pacific Northwest, where you are deeply involved, especially with the upcoming 22nd Annual Africa Day Business Forum. That's where I learned of your reputation in the community as a consultant and a coach, and also the way that you're bringing business between the US and Africa, and the work you do with your foundation. So I just want you to break it all down for us. When did you start your coaching and consulting business, and why is it important for those who are watching today, and how would you like to continue serving the world with your consulting before we go to your non-profit organization?
Thank you so much, Simon. Very kind of you to say those nice words. African Chamber, they're doing amazing, amazing work, and it is a very revolutionary organization here, bringing Africans from the diaspora, motherland, and institutions here in the US to really connect and promote trade and economic empowerment for both involved. So I am excited to be part of the chamber and supporting the chamber. So they're doing amazing work. I'm so honored to be a part of it. My coaching, we as Africans don't really think about coaching. Coaching is something that is important. It's just personal development, right? And I started coaching officially about 4 years ago. But when you think of coaching, it's kind of tied to my nonprofit, because the nonprofit we work with, it's platform for the empowerment of African women. So we work with about 21,000 small scale women farmers. What do we do with those women? We coach those women. We help them look at things from a different point of view, help them have autonomy over their own lives, which is what coaching is, right? Helping people have better lives, be better parents, be better spouses, better at their jobs, but overall, a good human, a better human being, and be happy and with yourself. So so the coaching is tied to the nonprofit. So working with the amazing women really propelled me to see that coaching is needed in the world. But most importantly, my story, I went through a tough time. I got divorced with two children under the age of five. I have a 21-year-old and a 19-year-old. When I went through that, I didn't have a community to support me. What do I mean by that? It was tough. I didn't have a support system. I had my sister here, but it's a little bit different to have support. Then then I lost properties that were businesses of mine, right? I'm always a businesswoman. My mother is a businesswoman. And then a house caught on fire, my rental caught on fire. So I went through all of these things, but I didn't have a support system. What I didn't have somebody to talk to. I mean, you have friends, but someone who will really ask you what is going on with you. I'm here for you. I support you. What are the next steps? That is why I am in coaching, that to support other women who are going through transition, that need that community, that need that support. So, but I do business as well as life coaching. Now, the consulting, it's really interesting because I also have an import export business, right? So that import export business has been very good to me in terms of meeting amazing people, talking to people that are going through challenges within their organizations. How do I work with Africans? How do I, import or export these products? Where do I go? And so forth. So that consulting kind of grew from the import export business. So it's really well rounded. It's really exciting for me. And that's kind of how this whole thing came together. I also help, people, organizations find what their values are. How are you taking care of as an entrepreneur? How are you valuing your employees? Are you a leader or a manager, basically, right? So I do that holistically within the coaching and the consulting business. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Important work that you're doing. And I want you to think about how anyone who is listening or anyone who is watching can actually support you. What action can we take to support the work that you do, Aisha? So I want you to think about that for a moment. And then towards the end of our time together, you're going to share that so that everybody is also prepared and ready to take action. For now, I want you to actually, if you have a pen and paper near you, that's good. You can take a few notes. If you don't, just listen keenly, because we want to invite a few voices to share their own perspective, to comment on the stories you've shared with us. But we want a few perspectives on this proverb. It's how we always run this show. We want to include other voices. So again, for those who are just joining us, this is the Daily African Proverbs. We are here recording another episode. This is 273 for the African Father in America podcast. We are actually a 5-star rated podcast on Apple. If you go to Apple Podcasts, you will find that we are now doing really well over there, and it's because of your love and support that there is that growth. So if you haven't subscribed to the podcast on Apple and you listen to podcasts there, I encourage you to enjoy these conversations from there. And now I want to come to Brother Earth. Just briefly on mic and share with us where in the world you're joining us from and what today's proverb means to you. The proverb says that a whistle will not call back a dog that has escaped. But also feel free to comment on the conversation with Aisha.
Peace and love, family. This is Brother Earth. I'm calling from the North Carolina territory. I always gratitude for the platform, Simon, and as well as your special guest for all the insight and information shared. And as for the conversation, I think, it's very beautiful that she understood what she had been through and situation she had, and she trying to look back and help those who've been in the same similar struggle. That's so important that we remember where we came from and what we went through to be able to go back and help others manage through those type of situations. And as far as the proverb goes, when I look at it, it made me look at a couple different things. A whistle will not call a dog back that has escaped from the leash. Growing up, it was we had a dog, and then it was some of our neighbors had a dog, right? And our dog we used to, sometime it'll be on the chain, sometime it'll follow behind us or what have you, but the dog was always cool. The way that they had their dog, they kept their dog on the chain 24/7, 365. But whenever they dog would break the chain, it would run away and never come back. And I didn't pay no attention, but that's always how it happened. But then as I started getting older, um, they used to have, I don't know if you ever heard this saying or not, but it's a saying that the preacher's children are the wildest ones. The preacher's sons and daughters are the wildest ones. And when I first time I heard that, I said, why would you say something like that? They said because uh, being raised by a preacher, oftentimes that the child feel like they on the leash. So when they get out in the world, they wide open and it ain't no stopping them. They want to see and do everything, and they don't look back. And I was just like, to see that proverb and to see that come full swing, I was like, wow. But I'll park my plane right there. It's Brother Earth.
Thank you, Brother Arth. I love that. I
Thank
love that.
you.
Aisha is nodding and acknowledging your contribution. Let's hear from my brother Rushi. How are you doing today? Where in the world are you today? And what are your perspectives on the proverb and the conversation with Aisha?
No worries, Simon. Thank you. I am in Charleston, South Carolina today. And I think that the conversation today is a very beautiful conversation. I love hearing about the humanitarianism of the guests. It also reminds me how pivotal it is mothers are. We all watch our mothers, I feel, and we all uh, have the same mission statement at some point that our mothers have as well. If someone's mother is a helpful mother, that always goes to the child. I feel so that's very important,
Mhm.
and I love hearing the stories that she told about that. As far as the proverb, I agree 100% with brother Earth there. I mean that's exactly what I would have probably said as far as the proverb. But I think the proverb kind of speaks about obedience at some point. Sometimes when you have a situation and you try to hold it too close, and when it gets out of hand, it just gets out of hand, and you have to just let it go, and it won't come back. So I agree 100% with brother, and I thank you for the time today, Simon.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. I appreciate you as well for your continued support and your presence today. I want to welcome Lavender on the mic. Lavender, just unmute yourself and share with us also where you are and your perspectives on this proverb and also any comments on the conversation with Aisha.
Hi, Simon. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. Aisha, is amazing to see you on YouTube and hear your voice. And thank you for sharing your story with us. Your story reminds me so much of our upbringing and how our mom brought us up in the environment of service, and it sticks with you. No
Mhm.
matter where you're going, it follows you. Your um, calls to serve.
Mhm.
Um, this is Lavender. I'm speaking from Seattle, Washington. My thoughts about today's proverb: a whistle will not call back a dog that has escaped from the leash. What comes to mind is that um, when growing up, when you're an adult and you get to learn various um, things in this journey of life. Um, when you learn the better ways, for example, the value of peace, you don't want to look back, and no matter what's happening, you find that um, when you're finding yourself, when you're working on self, you don't want to look back, and you know better, you know how hard it is to work on self, which I see that many people are not um, courageous enough to do. So when you take these steps of discovering yourself and finding your purpose, you don't want to look back. Thank you so much, Simon. This is Lavender, and I'm complete.
Thank you, Lavender. I appreciate your amazing words of wisdom, and thank you again for your continued support. Let's go to Crystal. How are you doing, Crystal? It's been a minute. I hope everything is great. Share with us your own perspective on today's proverb, and also any comments on the conversation with our guest today.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Yes, there was a portion of your conversation today that really stuck with me as far as being open to being coached. And I'm sorry, my mind kind of just went somewhere else, especially like in African traditions, Caribbean traditions, Black American traditions. You know, there's a reverence for elders
Mm-hmm.
and wisdom, but being open enough to receive the lesson in every aspect of life and every engagement, especially with children. Um, that part really stuck with me, and I just reflecting on different experiences throughout my life, particularly in motherhood, where my
Mm-hmm.
children have been my biggest teachers. Um, So yeah, just that one tidbit and what and today's guest speaker was saying just really stuck out to me as far as being open to coaching. Now, as far as the
Mm-hmm.
proverb, a whistle will not call back a dog that has escaped. Um, I think of autonomy and freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I think of how there is an order to most things that takes away our authentic, just our authentic ways of expressing ourselves, and just how that is an act of, that's a revolutionary act to be yourself,
Yes.
to be free, to be off the leash, and whatever metaphoric sense that can be for you.
Mm-hmm.
And no, you know, like whatever that looks like, that whistle can represent a belief system that performing in a certain type of way with respectability. So I really appreciate the sentiments that have already been shared about obedience and conforming, and I hope that as far as like this proverb today, that is something that it can be a very mindful intention, because it's easy to
Mm-hmm.
conform, right, in every aspect of our
Mm-hmm.
being, especially with us
Mm-hmm.
being Black people. We're very
Mm-hmm.
self-conscious
Mm-hmm.
about the ways in which we express ourselves, the ways that we talk, the ways that we act.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
hope that in moments where we find ourselves shrinking to fit our surroundings, that we remember
Mm-hmm.
just how these are little acts of freedom, and in a still very oppressive society that we live in. These are like the little acts of freedom that I hope we have the space to exercise with ourselves, to just, be autonomous in the ways that we show up. So yeah, that's all I got for today. But thank you. This has been a really reflective, great space today.
Thank you so much, Crystal. I appreciate you also for your continued support. I deeply appreciate you, and I love your contribution as well.
Mm-hmm.
Aisha is going to have a moment to just reflect on everything you all shared. Let's hear finally from Stella, and then we are going to come back to you, Aisha. So Stella, go ahead and share with us where you're joining us from, your thoughts on the proverb, and also any comments in regards to the conversation with Aisha.
Hello, Simon. Hi, everyone. Sorry I joined late, so I missed what Aisha said, but I'll listen and get what she said. Um, Otherwise, today's proverb has reminded me of a few phrases that I've come across, especially on social media. And there's one that usually says that the universe will keep putting you in the same place until you learn your lesson. And then there's also a common one that people say that everything you want is on the other side of fear. And again, this proverb, when I look at it, I think of how sometimes we want to hold on to these places that we think are familiar, and we are so scared of reaching out to what we want because we think that where we are is comfortable because we know those places so well. So we are a bit scared of going for what we want because we don't know what is there, and we don't want to deal with the uncertainties. But sometimes if we could just take that leap of faith and go into it, then we would find that whatever we are actually looking for is on that other side. So those are the biggest lessons I'm learning from this proverb today. Otherwise, thank you.
Thank you so much, Stella. And also, for those who are meeting Stella and Lavender for the first time, they're members of my team at One Vibe. And so I would encourage you to follow them. If you want to be a guest on the podcast, connect with Lavender and she will hook you up. So we are back to you, Aisha. And for those who don't know, for those who are on Clubhouse and you're just joining us, we're also live on YouTube. And my special guest today is Aisha Jallow. She is the CEO of an amazing coaching and consulting company called Aisha Jallow Coaching and Consulting, and also a co-founder of an amazing nonprofit that serves, thousands of women back in the continent, and also is deeply involved with the transformation of, business, especially for people in the diaspora. So, Aisha, what did you hear from our contributors that you want to comment on, and also let us know how we can support you?
Thank you so much, Simon. You have such smart and reflective audience. Everything that was shared was spot on. But what I love about it, about this proverb, is there are lessons in it for each and every one of us, and those lessons are different for each of us, but it's actually the same, right? If you hear all of the different people that spoke, they talked about the same thing. This proverb boils down to autonomy, right? Self reliance, respect, surrender, right? Which is key in living better lives, self awareness. So I love that, and I'm really enjoying hearing. I wish we had more time to hear more of the audience and their comments. And thank you so much to them for being so kind and welcoming to me. For me, I think it's so important for all of us as human beings to always lead with service. And service doesn't mean you have to do anything for free, but service means when you're interacting with someone, think about how can I make this person's life a little bit better? In this interaction, is this person benefiting from it? Not am I benefiting from it and take your ego out of it? I think for me, if people lead with service and then add love, because love is really also trusting the other person, wanting that other person to do better than you. And I don't mean love, husband and wife and all of that. That's just basic. But your co-workers, love them enough to trust them. Your colleagues, people you interact with every day, lead with love and service. And I think we will get closer to utopia, for lack of a better word. So that's what I want people to get out of this. Service is key in whatever container it comes in, right? For me, I would love for people, I'm sorry, the other thing too is we need to ask for help. We need to be vulnerable. We need to be brave to say, I'm struggling, I need help. That is so key because most of us suffer in silence for whatever it is, right? So ask for help when you need it. There is always someone there for you. For me, how to support me, I would love to um, have have conversations, real conversations, support people in the challenges they're going through. Not necessarily just challenges, but sometimes you just need someone to talk to and help you really get clarity on what is it that you want to do and what steps to take. So definitely that would be a great way for people listening to support me and the community that I work with the platform for the empowerment of African women. So if anybody is works with financing, business training, and so forth, we teach our women all of those skills. Someone who's a doctor or a nurse wants to do some work, volunteer work in Senegal, helping women with basic communities with basic medical support, that would be also great. I would really welcome that. I also want to say it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I want my brothers and sisters to make sure they get a self examination or go get a mammogram because that is key. Early detection saves our lives, especially us Black women, Africans. We need to do this. We have families, we are the community, so we need to put ourselves first. And first is also health is a huge part of it. So please go get a mammogram or get a self-examination.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
So how do we stay connected with you? Do you have social media and or a website where we can go?
Yes. So I am on Instagram. It's Aisha Jallo 1. I also have a website called AishaJalloCoaching.com. And so my contact numbers, email. I'm also on Twitter, Aisha Jallo 1 as well. So I would love for people to reach out and ask questions. I'm more than happy to help and support.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Aisha. Today has really been incredible, and I just want to thank all our audience members. I see Harrieta and Nonso and Mama and Robert and Faline and Nate.
Wow.
We didn't get to hear from you all, and I your presence is really. There's another saying that silence is also a way of. Silence is also a way of speaking, and your presence and the way you've listened to our conversation today means a lot. And to all the contributors who spoke, from Stella to Brother Earth, Crystal, Lavender, Brother Rushi, I deeply appreciate it. And also on YouTube, we had quite a few people listening. I see my wonderful friend here, Bees, Bullets, and Recycling. Thank you for being here. I know I forget your real name, but I know you very well, and I deeply appreciate you for your presence and all the comments that you left us here. Aisha, actually, one of our viewers was really interested in you talking about the division that colonization created. When you spoke about how Senegal and Gambia were one country, I think that was a topic that was of interest, and there were some comments around it on YouTube. So maybe next time we should get together and go deep into that a little more. But we've come to the tail end of our conversation today, and Aisha, thank you. I see that Richmo just joined us. Richmo, nice to see you. I want you all to know that this work is incredible work. We can't do it on our own. One of the ways you can support instantly is by subscribing to my YouTube channel. It's right at the top of the room. The other way that you can support is by showing up tomorrow again and continuing to help us build this movement, one proverb at a time. Aisha, I know we have to go, but I want to just give you a chance to share anything. Is there anything you want to talk about that I didn't ask you?
No, I think you covered everything quite well. Like the viewers, I wish we had more time because I was really getting to, I mean, I was enjoying this conversation more and more, and it's amazing work that you're doing. But no, everything was covered. More time, more time would have been much more fun. But I thank everybody, and feel free to reach out to me on social media, and I'm more than happy to answer some of your questions as well.
Fantastic, fantastic. We'll do it again. We'll do it again. Yeah, have a beautiful day, Aisha, and to all our guests, and friends and audience members. Also have a beautiful day. Peace and love to you all.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.